So welcome back, guys. Today I'm actually going to be doing a deep dive on Mississauga market stats. As of last month of May, I'm going to be showing you average home prices, days on the market, and list to sale ratio. A lot of great information that I hope would be very helpful for you and will help you be very clear in terms of your decision to list your home for sale and or to buy a new home. So let's dive right in. Let's get into it. So I've got two tables here open up. One is just last month of May, and then versus a year ago in May of 2025. And I am going to also go deeper into the type of properties. So I'm going to show you what's going on with detached homes, semi-detached, townhouses. I've got a very surprising information to share with you about semis and townhouses, and then of course condos. So let's get right into it. So just last month, Toronto Real Estate Board just announced our May numbers, and I'm going to go right into the Mississauga numbers. Okay, so if you can see here, I'm going to highlight it for you. So Mississauga average price last month went down to $971,000 with 568 home sales and an average days on the market of 45 days. And this is across all types of properties. So how does this compare with a year ago? So let's start with home sales. 568 home sales versus a year ago. I'm going to show it to you right here. Here it is. Versus a year ago, we are seeing almost 12% increase in home sales versus a year ago. So that's very great news if you are a seller. In terms of price, surprisingly, prices have come down. So how much? Well, a year ago, our average price was over $1,040,000. This year, $971,000. So that's actually a 6% reduction or decrease in average price. Now, new listings have also changed. So I'll show you right here. Let's see, new listings have also come down quite a bit, about 14% from a year ago. So there are basically less sellers putting their houses on the market this year than this time last year, about 14% less new listings. So inventory is a little bit more reduced this year than last year. And the other thing that's interesting is, look at that. This is called the sale to list ratio. It is at 97%. And a year ago, it was actually 98%. Okay. So buyers are still negotiating. That means that buyers still have the upper hand when it comes to negotiating the price. Now, we are seeing buyers showing up more seriously. There are more home sales, and that's all great news. However, prices are still down and lower. So let's dive right in and take a look right away now into detached homes. Okay, so this is the table for detached. So detached homes is right here. Sorry about that. So here we are. Detached homes for Mississauga, the average price is $1,367,000. That is actually a drop in price from a year ago of 7%. That's a 7% reduction from a year ago. Okay, for detached homes. There were 232 detached home sales. And what I wanted to show you is that there are currently about 4 months of inventory of detached homes in Mississauga. And that's a 25% absorption rate. What that means is about 1 out of 4 detached homes are selling. 1 out of 4. All right. So this is what we're seeing at the moment. And I'll share with you what is the average days on the market. 27 days. Okay, for the listings. Now, people do terminate and relist at a new and different price. So that 27 days is just the average for the listings. But if you look at the property itself, the number of times it's been relisted or terminated or putting in a new price, the average for the property is a lot higher. You're looking at about 40 or over 40 days on average. All right, so if we go into the semi-detached, let's take a look. Semis is a very different segment. This is the strongest segment we have in Mississauga right now. So I'm going to show it to you. So Mississauga semi average price is $931,000. We had 75 semi sold in the month of May. And what that is actually is the highest absorption. We have 37% absorption rate for semi-detached. And we also have very little inventory of semi-detached. We're looking at 2.7 months of inventory for semis. So that means that, if nobody else lists their semi on the market, within 2.5 months, there'll be no more semis for sale in Mississauga. So this is right now the strongest segment in our market. The average days on the market for semis is 23 days. Okay. Now the price. This price is lower than a year ago. This price is about 5% lower than this time last year. So that's something to keep in mind. Even though sales are going very well for semis, still the price is still lower than a year ago, just like we're seeing across the board. Okay, so same as freehold townhouse. So check this out. Freehold townhouse has the exact same average price as semi. Okay, 935,000. And freehold townhouse is behaving very similarly. It has a pretty strong absorption rate, 27%, and inventory is about 3.5 months of inventory. Now, the price for freehold townhouse, similar to semi, this is the lowest that we have seen in many, many years. The price has dropped. So freehold townhouse price versus a year ago, we're looking at about 7.8% reduction. All right. And then average days on the market, similar to semis, 26 days on the market. So what I'm seeing here on the market is there is definitely a very high demand for semis and freehold townhouse, especially if they have a basement rental suite. Those homes, especially because they're well under $1 million with no condo maintenance fee. So that's where a lot of the buyer demand I'm finding right now in our market. And plus, we haven't seen this kind of prices in quite a few years. $930,000 average for semis and townhouses. That's a really, really sweet price. And that's why they're being snatched up. And I'm seeing that with our clients and buyers. Okay. Now, condo townhouses, moving on over here with Mississauga. Price is just $706,000 on average. That price is almost 5% lower than a year ago. And we are seeing a pretty weak segment here on condo townhouses. We're seeing about 5 months of inventory. The absorption rate is pretty low, just under 20% absorption rate. What this means is that 1 out of 5 condo townhouses for sale are selling. Okay. And the average price, check this out, average price on the market, 36 days. Remember, I was showing you 26 days for freehold townhouse. So there's a big difference between condo townhouse and freehold townhouse. It's taking longer to sell a condo townhouse than a freehold townhouse, even though the price is lower. So price is $700,000, right? But it's sitting on the market for a longer period of time than the freehold townhouse. And freehold townhouse, I showed you earlier, is almost $230,000 higher on average, but it's selling quicker. Okay, so the absorption rate is much quicker for freehold townhouse and semis. Condo apartment, as you know, everybody has been hearing, is probably the weakest segment in our market. We've got about 7 months of inventory of condos. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you right here. So you see here active listings of condos, 844 condos for sale in Mississauga, and 155 condo apartments were sold in the month of May. So that's about a 14% absorption rate. We've got about 7 months of inventory of condos, and also prices have been trending down as well. So condo price average right now is sitting at $543,000. That's about 7% lower than a year ago. So definitely condos and townhouses, that is the weakest segment that we're seeing right now. If you own a condo or a townhouse in Mississauga, what you need to know and really understand before you decide to list is there is some downward pressure on townhouses. So townhouses right now, we're seeing new townhouses from builders and developers. They're launching at lower prices. In fact, very recently, they're getting sellouts in places like Caledon, Milton, Oakville. Townhouses are selling out because the builders are very aggressive with their townhouse prices. And especially now with the new HST tax rebate, a lot of people are jumping in on the new build inventory right now, and townhouses are selling out. So when a builder is selling new townhouses at lower prices, those lower prices now become the new comparison price for the resale townhouses. That would make sense, right? And this means that your resale townhouse is not only competing with what your neighbor has sold recently, but you're also competing with what a buyer can actually buy brand new in the market today. And that's really what is putting some downward price pressure, I would say, on condo townhouses. Okay, and that doesn't mean don't sell right now. It just means that you need a very clear strategy, and you need to price your townhouse based on today's prices, today's comparables, and it has to be very realistic. So this is super important. Okay, so if you're a seller, the good news is that inventory is down. Okay, so I'm going to just go back up on my chart here to the overall all types of properties to give you a summary here. So this is across all home types in the month of May. Okay, and oh, that's year to date. Sorry about that. Let me go to the month of May in Toronto, in Mississauga. Oh, here we go. So all home types in the month of May in Mississauga. Again, let me show you that again. The average sale price is $971,000. So if you're a seller, the good news is that inventory is down. You have less competition than you did a year ago, and buyers are showing up more seriously. They're putting in offers, and that's actually very great news. But what's very important to know is that you cannot price your home based on what your neighbor has sold for in 2022 or even 2023. The benchmark price is lower, much lower. So, and the sale to list ratio is also lower. Look at that, 97% in Mississauga. Okay, so that means that buyers are still negotiating. And if you overprice, your home is going to sit on the market. The sellers who are winning right now in our market are the ones that are priced correctly from day one and that are very well prepared and very beautifully presented. Okay, those are the homes that are selling. And that's how you can get your home sold in 15 days instead of sitting there for 100 days. Now, if you're a home buyer in Mississauga, you still have negotiating power because prices have come down. The market is not in a bidding war frenzy, and prices are like 6% lower than a year ago. You've got 97%, to the list price. You've got room to negotiate, and of course, you can put all your conditions: home inspection, financing, status certificate. Full conditions are still going on for our home buyer clients. And however, inventory is starting to drop though. And I mentioned to you earlier, right? For semis and freehold townhouses, we are seeing a big drop in inventory. So semis and freehold townhouses, they are selling. And there's not a lot for sale. There's not a lot to choose from. There is a high demand in this segment, especially if they have basement rental suites. And which means that if this is the type of home you're looking for, your window of choice is actually shrinking. So I would advise you, if you're a home buyer, if you see the perfect home, semi or a freehold townhouse with no condo fee, if you see a great one in an awesome location, just go for it. don't even question it. Don't wait for prices to fall further, because that's actually a risk. Because in the number of next month, summer, fall, if interest rates come down a little bit again and inventory is shrinking in this segment, the competition of buyers can come back very quickly. We're already seeing this in certain pockets, in certain neighborhoods. So for sure, this is not something you see in the headlines that I'm sharing with you. So the Mississauga market is tightening. There are fewer listings. There are more home sales, and prices are still down from a year ago. And prices and buyers still have negotiating power, and there is room to negotiate, as we are seeing here, 97% sale to list ratio. And also condos and townhouses are under the most pressure right now. And in the next few months, in the summer and the fall, I think is going to really tell us whether this is just a temporary thing, or whether we're really in true real recovery, and that maybe we've hit the floor in terms of prices. If you own a home in Mississauga, or you're wondering is it time for you to upsize to a bigger one or downsize to a condo, knowing your specific numbers is so important, and will give you a lot of clarity and confidence when you're making a decision to list your home. If you have any questions and you'd love to have a conversation, please feel free to reach out to me. My number, my contact, my email is all below. Feel free to reach out. I would love to connect and have a conversation and a chat about your particular situation. I'm here to help and happy to assist. Happy to connect. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'm going to see you in the next one.